So I'm back. I'm sorry that I've been gone for so long. It's been, you know, the hell of a past 2 weeks, but basically I wasn't home and I couldn't make any videos at all since I didn't have my computer, at my disposition. But today I just want to update, what has happened in the NBA while I hadn't talked about it. So basically, 11 days ago was when I did my last video, and I posted 2 videos that day. So basically, I'm gonna get a list of things which have happened, which I think are the most important things, and we're just gonna recap it just to, you know, be able to talk about this properly and summarize basically the last 11 days. First, the Celtics are the best team in the world. They've comfortably overtaken the Timberwolves as the Timberwolves have lost 2 more games than the Celtics and have won 3 less games. The Celtics are now, perfect. They haven't lost a game at home, and they've only lost 7 games away from their home, winning 11. And basically, the Celtics look unstoppable right now, being the best team in the NBA. I do believe that, I do not know, if this will carry on to a championship, but the Celtics have definitely been the team to watch for these past days. When it comes to the other teams, we've had a few dominant teams. The Thunder look to be here to stay. They have a better record. They have a better win percentage than the Nuggets, and they currently sit on second in the Western Conference. So I think it's safe to assume that after 34 games of them playing basketball, we could say that they're not a fluke. The Clippers, it worked. I don't know what the record is going to be at the end of the season because the Clippers normally have a late season drop off due to injury or fatigue and stuff like that. So I'm not going to get too sold on the Clippers, but the Clippers experiment seems to be working perfectly as they've won their last 5. They've won 12 out of their last 13, or it was some crazy stat like that. That the Clippers are just going crazy. The Mavericks and the Kings have overtaken the Suns and the Lakers, which were the teams which we thought that were going to be there in the playoff spot, comfortably. And the Western Conference looks really tough, as even the Grizzlies now have won a lot in their past games, and in their last 10 they have a positive record, and they're going to try to climb back into the standings. I will say that this is probably the time where the NBA should expand. The NBA is getting way too talented, and in my opinion, some of these teams are just going crazy because the Western Conference is way too stacked. In the East, the Knicks traded for OG Anunoby. That was amazing. I think that was the right trade to make because OG is a player which adds everything and takes away nothing. There are very few players like that in NBA history, but players like that are like the Robert Ory, someone like a Ray Allen, guys who can add to a team by playing to their strengths and don't mess up the flow. They don't need the ball too much, and they're definitely ones which you want to trust, especially when they have the ball. So in my opinion, that OG Anunoby trade has worked perfectly. They have a 4-game winning streak with OG on the team, and honestly, the Knicks have just proven themselves to be amazing. What will they do next? I've seen some rumors about some problems with the organizations and the management of Julius Randle. RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley are not there. So what will happen with the Knicks? I have no idea. The Heat look pretty good. That's surprising since the Heat, they didn't look to be the best team when they came in. And since last season, their run was so mythical. It just seemed like they were kind of just pulling stuff together to try to make it make sense. But they are pretty good this season. They're tied with 4 different teams in record. It's the Heat, the Magic, the Pacers, and the Cavaliers all have the same record. But I do believe that it's pretty surprising how those 4 teams are floating in that area. And finally, some of the teams which are absolute trash, the Pistons ended their streak, but they just started a brand new one. I'm sorry, but they won 1 game, then they've lost 3 straight, and they have 3 wins for 32 losses, which doesn't look good. And I do believe that they will keep going down, just like the Spurs, which even though Wembanyama is playing amazingly, and he said that every game is going to be a statement now, they've lost 4 straight. When it comes to the MVP conversation in the NBA, it has changed. Joel Embiid is still the favorite and still should get the MVP, in my personal opinion. But Jokic is now, being more respected as a candidate. Like a month ago, it was a for sure, like Joel Embiid, like unanimously, everyone was like, okay, we agree that he's the MVP. Now it's like, okay, we all agree that Joel is the MVP, but let's not rule out Jokic, and his possibility of getting an MVP. Snubs in the MVP are Giannis and Luka, because the third place vote for the MVP, the third place favorite, is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yes, Shai is the third place vote for MVP. That's crazy to say, because Shai obviously is a player which is young and he's on a great team, and Shai is a young player which has had a lot of potential, and now he's third in the MVP voting. If he keeps going like this, he either might win it this season or he's going to be a consistent runner-up for the years to come, and he might sneak one. So I like that. When it comes to the Rookie of the Year race, Chet Holmgren is still winning. The Defensive Player of the Year award, in my opinion, has become kind of a joke. They're going to probably give it to Brook Lopez, Jaren Jackson Jr., or one of those guys. Maybe Giannis. Giannis has been amazing defensively this season. I think he should win it. But I just think that, defense in this season has been completely lost. And I think that the art of defense needs to come back. Because even though some players are focused on it, we're getting 150-point games, it seems like, every single day. Then when it comes to, All-Star voting, obviously, LeBron and Giannis are leading in votes. Giannis on his team, LeBron on his team, on the west side, Giannis on the east side. Obviously, we're going to have East versus West this year. So whoever gets elected is just going to be with their team. There's not going to be any draft anymore. So this is going to be pretty fun, as I do think that it's going to be a nice matchup. As it's going to be Embiid versus Jokic, and then you have Tatum and Giannis, versus KD and Braun, etc., etc., etc. You have Book, you have Steph versus Dame, Book versus Donovan Mitchell. So I think that it's going to be great, honestly, and I think that will work itself out like a beautiful All-Star game. And I think that it's going to be pretty even, if. So then, apart from that, more things that have happened in the NBA with specific players. We have Ja's come back into full fruition. I know I made a video about it, but now that we've seen him for a few games, he's been amazing, and he's been really able to put, emphasis on his team winning, and he's done that phenomenally. I still do want to say that Joel Embiid, it feels like, is breaking a record every single night that he plays a basketball game. Kawhi Leonard is still healthy and still going. Shout out to Kawhi, because he's been amazing. James Harden has actually been really clutch this season, and the step back three is working, I think, better than ever. And some other players like Russ, and Pascal Siakam, and those guys have rumors around them. Russ is pretty happy in the Clippers, it seems like, and he's taken his role super seriously, being one of the best defenders in the league. Tyrese Halliburton is a confirmed star, which has become the new point guard and is bringing the Pacers to be one of the best teams in the NBA. The Raptors are now in a rebuilding phase around Scottie. They traded away OG. They're probably going to trade away Pascal. And now they've fully started their rebuild. And the Wizards, Bulls have intent of starting their rebuilds too. When it comes to the Jazz, Trailblazers, and Spurs, they're on the same thing. The Rockets are much worse than they were like a few weeks ago. And now the Nets have benched Cam Thomas, because he dropped like 3 donuts in a row, and he didn't score in like 3 games in a row. The Pelicans look mid, and Zion doesn't look really spectacular. He looks good, but it doesn't he isn't as dominant as he once was, and that's obviously in an effort to protect his own body. But averaging 22 points per game for Zion is kind of, not what we expected from him when he came back. But I guess that's what we're going to have to get if we want to see him play every single night. And finally, in my opinion, we have a few guards which are popping off. Shout out to Trae Young, shout out to De'Aaron Fox, and because those guys extremely underrated, but have been phenomenal this season, especially Trae Young and the carry job that he's doing to Atlanta right now because they're struggling bad. But yeah, I think that's been it, for the time that I've been gone. If I miss anything, please tell me, and I'll address it next video. Peace.